The Colossian church faced a crisis involving subtle suggestions that undermined the all-sufficiency of Jesus. These suggestions blended elements of pagan ideas with religious rules. The core issue was the challenge to the completeness and supremacy of Christ's role. This crisis threatened to diminish the centrality of Christ in their faith. The blending of paganism and religious rules created a syncretistic belief system. This syncretism diverted focus from the singular importance of Jesus' teachings and sacrifice. New Christians in Colossae faced the temptation of integrating additional teachings into their faith. These teachers offered an upgrade to Christianity through secret knowledge and special rituals. The allure of secret knowledge presented a challenge to the foundational beliefs of new converts. The promise of spiritual advancement was a key component of the persuasive teachings. These teachings risked undermining the simplicity and sufficiency of the gospel message. The Colossian heresy involved diminishing the significance of Jesus Christ. Jewish legalism contributed to the heresy by emphasizing adherence to laws over grace. Philosophical speculation introduced abstract ideas that obscured the clarity of the gospel. Pagan mysticism incorporated esoteric practices that conflicted with Christian teachings. The combination of these elements resulted in a distorted view of Christ's role and teachings. Certain teachers emphasized adherence to dietary laws within the religious community. Religious festivals were given heightened importance, creating a focus on ritualistic observance. Strict Sabbath observance was promoted as a key element of religious practice. These practices contributed to a two-tiered system within Christianity. Gnostic-like philosophies proposed a hierarchy of spiritual entities between God and humanity. This spiritual ladder positioned Jesus as merely an intermediary, rather than a divine being. Gnostic concepts challenged traditional views of the direct relationship between God and humankind. The spiritual hierarchy served to distance the divine from the earthly realm. Such ideas diminished the unique status and significance of Jesus in Christian theology. Certain false teachers advocated for the worship of angels. These teachers promoted asceticism as a means of spiritual advancement. Ascetic practices involved harsh treatment of the body. The goal of asceticism was perceived spiritual progress. However, true spiritual growth is not achieved through physical self-harm. Genuine spiritual development involves inner transformation and moral integrity. Heresy undermined the gospel by suggesting Jesus was insufficient. This insufficiency created anxiety among believers. The heresy led to insecurity among believers. The erosion of trust in core religious tenets resulted in widespread doubt and instability. The core concern was that the teachings diminished the significance of Jesus. These teachings were perceived as dethroning Jesus from his central position. The teachings undermined the sacrificial importance attributed to Jesus. The perceived impact was a reduction in Jesus' divine status and role. This reduction was seen as a fundamental challenge to established beliefs. Diminishing the significance of a life-saving cure is analogous to suggesting it requires additional, unnecessary components to be effective. An effective cure, by its nature, possesses the inherent power to heal and restore. Adding unnecessary elements to a complete cure implies a deficiency in its original composition. The inherent value of a cure is undermined by the addition of superfluous supplements. A complete and effective cure does not require external enhancements for its intended purpose. The temptation to supplement the teachings of Jesus with external ideologies is a persistent risk. Adding elements like self-help or prosperity teachings can dilute the core message. Such additions can overshadow the original, intended message. The integrity of the original teachings is compromised by these additional elements. Maintaining the purity of the original message requires vigilance against extraneous additions. The belief that Jesus alone is insufficient for fulfillment leads to the addition of supplementary requirements. Adding pluses to faith misunderstands the core tenets of the gospel. Such additions imply that Jesus' sacrifice is incomplete or inadequate. This subtle demotion of Jesus shifts focus from grace to conditional acceptance. The gospel's message of unconditional love and acceptance becomes obscured by performance-based expectations. True happiness and wholeness are found in embracing the complete sufficiency of Jesus. Paul's strategy involved presenting a compelling depiction of Jesus. This portrayal of Jesus aimed to counteract and dissolve the prevailing heresy. The magnificent image of Jesus served as a powerful tool against false teachings. By emphasizing the true nature of Christ, Paul sought to correct doctrinal errors. The letter recalibrates reality around the supremacy of Christ. This recalibration emphasizes the sufficiency of Christ. The letter impacts both doctrine and daily life. Doctrinal impact involves refining theological understanding. The impact on daily life manifests as transformed actions and perspectives. The letter begins with a greeting, setting a tone of goodwill and connection. The author expresses gratitude to God for the recipient's faith in Christ Jesus. The letter acknowledges and affirms the recipient's faith as a positive attribute. The author reminds the recipients of the pure gospel they initially received. The gospel is characterized as pure, highlighting its unadulterated and truthful nature. The initial reception of the gospel is emphasized as a foundational moment. Prayer involves seeking to understand and align with God's will. Knowledge of God's will empowers individuals to live in a manner worthy of divine principles. Living worthily reflects a life guided by divine understanding and purpose. Prayer facilitates the process of aligning one's actions with divine guidance. The goal of prayer is to be filled with the understanding of God's purpose. Understanding God's will leads to a life of purpose and fulfillment. The concept of being rescued from darkness represents a transition from a state of spiritual ignorance and despair. Darkness symbolizes spiritual ignorance, sin, and separation from divine grace. Light represents divine knowledge, purity, and connection with a higher power. Entering the kingdom of the Son signifies acceptance into a realm of divine love and grace. Redemption is the act of being freed from the bondage of sin and its consequences. This rescue and redemption are gifts, freely given and received through faith. Jesus embodies the perfect image of the invisible God. This representation is complete and accurate, not an incomplete or distorted likeness. The essence of the invisible God is fully expressed through Jesus. Jesus is the definitive manifestation of God's character and attributes. His perfect image reflects the true nature and glory of God. Through Jesus, humanity gains a clear understanding of the divine. The term firstborn denotes authority over all creation. The title firstborn does not imply that Jesus was the first created being. The concept of firstborn should be understood in terms of its symbolic meaning, not its literal interpretation. Understanding firstborn requires interpreting it within its proper theological and historical context. All things were created through Jesus. Jesus is the agent of creation for all things. All things were created for Jesus. The purpose of creation is centered on Jesus. Angelic beings are part of the created order. Worship should be directed towards the Creator, not created beings. All things in the universe are interconnected and held together. The universe maintains its structure through a binding force. This binding force ensures the stability and order of the cosmos. The interconnectedness of all things is essential for the universe's existence. Jesus is the head, providing direction and vitality to the church. The church functions as a unified body, with each part dependent on the head. As the head, Jesus guides and sustains the church. The church receives life and purpose through its connection to Jesus. Each member of the church benefits from the leadership of Jesus. Jesus' resurrection represents a victory over death. This resurrection guarantees Jesus' supreme honor. Jesus' resurrection affirms his role in creation. The resurrection also confirms Jesus' role in redemption. The resurrection is a testament to Jesus' power over death. Through Christ, God initiated the reconciliation of all things to himself. This reconciliation was achieved through the sacrifice on the cross. The blood of Christ on the cross made peace possible. God's reconciliation extends to all creation. The core mission is to fully reveal the true mystery of God. This mission involves making the unknown aspects of God known. The objective is to ensure complete and comprehensive understanding of God's mystery. The ultimate goal is the full disclosure of divine truths. The central mystery is Christ in you, representing a profound spiritual truth accessible to all. This indwelling presence of Christ is the hope of glory, a promise of future transformation and fulfillment. This glorious reality is intended for all believers, not a select few. The concept is a universally available truth, not an esoteric secret reserved for an elite group. Maturity in Christ is achieved through a deeper relationship with Him. This growth comes from Christ living within, not from adherence to external rules. Deeper connection fosters spiritual growth, symbolized by the plant's increasing size and health. External rules, in contrast, do not promote genuine spiritual maturity. True maturity is an organic process of internal transformation, guided by Christ. Christ embodies the complete repository of wisdom and knowledge. Seeking fragmented knowledge is unnecessary when comprehensive wisdom is available. The pursuit of limited insights contrasts with the abundance of inherent wisdom. Complete understanding surpasses piecemeal information gathering. Inherent wisdom provides a holistic and integrated perspective. Accessing this inherent wisdom eliminates the need for superficial exploration. The Christian life is sustained through continued faith in Christ, mirroring its commencement. Maintaining faith in Christ is essential for ongoing spiritual growth and development. The journey of faith requires continuous reliance on Christ's teachings and guidance. Spiritual maturity is achieved by consistently walking in accordance with Christ's principles. Living a Christian life necessitates unwavering trust and dependence on Christ. Philosophy and deceit, when empty, can lead to intellectual captivity. Empty deceit lacks substance and offers no true nourishment. True knowledge is rooted in a foundation of truth and integrity. Beware of doctrines that deviate from fundamental principles. The fullness of deity dwells bodily in Jesus. In Jesus, believers are filled with the fullness of God. Jesus embodies the complete essence and nature of God in human form. Believers achieve spiritual completeness through their connection with Jesus. The divine nature is fully present and manifested in the physical being of Jesus. A spiritual heart surgery has been performed. This spiritual surgery was performed by Christ. The spiritual heart surgery negates the need for physical circumcision. The focus shifts from physical rituals to inner spiritual transformation. The concept of canceled debt symbolizes the removal of a record of obligations. The record of debt represents a formal list of liabilities or transgressions. The act of nailing the record to the cross signifies the permanent removal of the debt. The cross serves as the instrument through which the cancellation of debt is achieved. The cancellation of debt offers freedom from the burden of past obligations. Religious rules concerning food and festivals are symbolic representations. These rules serve as preliminary indicators of deeper spiritual truths. The ultimate fulfillment of these symbolic representations is found in Christ. Christ embodies the true essence and substance behind the religious shadows. Therefore, the focus shifts from the symbolic to the actual embodiment of spiritual truth. Angel worship is identified as a disqualifying foul. This disqualification stems from a mind disconnected from Jesus. The act of worship directed towards angels indicates a spiritual misdirection. True spiritual connection is maintained through direct faith and relationship with Jesus. Misplaced worship can lead to spiritual disconnection and deviation from core beliefs. External rules are ineffective in changing one's intrinsic nature. Superficial wisdom lacks the power to transform the inner self. True transformation originates from within, not from imposed regulations. Imposed rules may appear sensible but fail to address fundamental values. Asceticism, characterized by self-denial, is an approach that aims to purify the soul through physical discipline. The premise is that punishing the body enhances spiritual purity, leading to enlightenment. However, self-inflicted physical suffering does not inherently make the soul more spiritual. Asceticism is an ineffective method for achieving genuine spiritual growth or enlightenment. True spiritual development requires inner transformation, not merely external acts of self-denial. True humility stems from acknowledging the all-sufficiency of Christ. Humility is not achieved through self-imposed deprivation or suffering. Recognizing Christ's completeness leads to genuine humility. Self-sufficiency is replaced by Christ's sufficiency in true humility. Authentic humility is a byproduct of a relationship with Christ, not a self-generated virtue. Focusing on earthly concerns results in corruption and decay. Earthly mindedness prioritizes transient material possessions over enduring values. Corruption manifests as moral decline and societal breakdown. Decay is the inevitable consequence of prioritizing temporary, earthly things. The new self represents a continuous process of transformation and self-improvement. This transformation is driven by the acquisition of knowledge and understanding. The new self is being renewed in knowledge, indicating an ongoing cycle of learning and growth. This renewal process aligns with the image of its creator, suggesting an aspiration towards higher ideals and values. The pursuit of knowledge and self-improvement is a lifelong journey towards realizing one's full potential. In a unified community, distinctions based on ethnicity are non-existent. Social status does not create division within a community bound by shared values. Human distinctions of any kind are irrelevant in a community centered on unity. Shared values and mutual respect are the foundations of a unified community. Unity transcends superficial differences, fostering a sense of belonging for all. A unified community thrives on inclusivity and the celebration of diversity. Compassion involves understanding and sharing the feelings of others. Kindness is demonstrated through acts of generosity and consideration for others' well-being. Humility is recognizing one's own limitations and treating others with respect. Gentleness and patience involve a calm and understanding approach to interactions. Forgiveness is an act of releasing resentment and bitterness towards someone who has wronged you. Reconciliation involves restoring a broken relationship to harmony and unity. Love serves as the foundation for maintaining unity and fostering forgiveness. Forgiving others mirrors the forgiveness received, promoting spiritual and emotional healing. Unity is preserved through love, creating a harmonious and supportive environment. The peace of Christ should govern the decisions and emotions within one's heart. Believers are called to embody this peace as integral components of a unified body. This shared peace fosters harmony and unity among members of the collective. The ruling peace of Christ in hearts facilitates unified action and purpose. The word of Christ is meant to inhabit and enrich the lives of believers. Believers are encouraged to teach and admonish one another using wisdom. Mutual teaching and admonishment should be rooted in the wisdom found in Christ. The goal is to foster a community of informed and supportive individuals. Expressing gratitude involves acknowledging and appreciating the positive aspects of life, regardless of circumstances. Thankfulness cultivates a positive mindset and strengthens resilience in challenging times. Giving thanks involves acknowledging a higher power or source of blessings. Gratitude fosters a deeper connection with the divine and promotes spiritual well-being. Thankfulness, expressed through faith, enhances one's overall sense of peace and contentment. Christian principles can be applied to enhance family relationships through love and understanding. Applying Christian ethics to one's work ethic promotes honesty, diligence, and integrity. Daily life can be enriched by incorporating Christian values into decision-making processes. Practical living involves consistently integrating faith-based morals into everyday scenarios. Husbands should express love towards their wives. Wives should demonstrate submission to their husbands. This dynamic reflects Christ's love for the church. The husband's love mirrors Christ's sacrificial love. The wife's submission mirrors the church's reverence. Parents should avoid actions or words that could cause bitterness in their children. Creating a positive and supportive environment is crucial for children's healthy development. Children are encouraged to respect and obey their parents' guidance. Obedience fosters a sense of security and structure in a child's life. Mutual respect and understanding are essential for a harmonious family relationship. Open communication channels help bridge the gap between generations. Slaves are instructed to obey their masters with sincerity. Masters are instructed to treat their slaves justly. Both slaves and masters are accountable to a higher authority. The principle emphasizes mutual respect and accountability within a hierarchical relationship. Devoting oneself to prayer involves consistent and dedicated communication with God. Watchfulness in prayer signifies alertness and attentiveness to God's presence and guidance. Thankfulness in prayer expresses gratitude for blessings and acknowledges God's provision. Praying for open doors emphasizes seeking opportunities to share the gospel. Prayer facilitates the spread of the gospel by inviting divine intervention and guidance.